Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing another style swap where I redraw this picture of Red Riding Hood that I made and recreate it in the style of Studio Ghibli. I know that there are slight variations from Studio Ghibli movie to Studio Ghibli movie, but just for so you're aware, I am going to be mostly referencing Kiki's Delivery Service, which I know is not everybody's favorite, but it is mine. And it's the only Studio Ghibli movie that I own and the one that I grew up with, and I really liked it, okay? Yeah, it's great. So I basically started with a very, very rough sketch to get, the gears moving, and you'll notice that I sort of sketched in my own style just because I find it extremely difficult to sketch in another artist's style because, sketching is your process. It's how you create an illustration, and if you go too far off, if you go too off in left field at the get-go, you're going to have a really hard time finding your target, I think. And I just get a little stressed out when I'm trying to draw in another style just because it's those little quirks that you have to pay attention to and what you would find easiest, which is your style, because your quirks your laziness has helped develop your style. So when you're drawing in another artist's style, it's going to be more difficult. So yeah. And so then with the second sketch layer, I'm spending a lot more time just trying to narrow down the details and how I want to change the original design to better suit the Studio Ghibli style. And one of the things I did, since I was referencing Kiki's Delivery Service, is the movie is a bit older, so I wanted the fashion to sort of represent that, and there's a lot of high-waisted shorts. Well, there's one high-waisted short in Kiki's Delivery Service. So I brought the waist of her overalls up just because I thought that would be more fun, and now I'm working on the line art layer. I'll talk about some of the other things I changed when we get to there, but yeah, I'm doing the mouth. I had to do a nice big open Studio Ghibli mouth, and then the Studio Ghibli nose, which I'm not a huge fan of that nose. It's just, I don't know. Noses is something I enjoy drawing, so the fact that I kind of had to just draw 3 lines this time was a bit of a disappointment because I kind of look forward to drawing noses. I really enjoy drawing the face, and the Studio Ghibli face is very simple, and one of the reasons for that is that it is an animation style, and every time I try to do an animation style, which seems to be almost every time I do a style swap, they're meant to be very simple so that you can draw a gazillion pictures of them to make a movie, and sometimes they don't put a ton of detail into certain things that you're not really going to be looking at. So I don't know, I just find it difficult to draw simple. So I think this is a very good exercise for me. I really need to continue doing these style swaps with styles that are less, detailed, but they're still expressive. And I need to figure out how to be able to do that because I have a very difficult time with the simpler art styles. And personally, I think I throw details into my art as a crutch. When you drew the line art and then you turn off the sketch layer and you're just like, what? That doesn't even look like the same thing at all. It's really, it's just out there and it's crazy. I think adding details has been my way to avoid that feeling. And I noticed if I just have a ton going on there, then I don't really notice all the flaws because there's just so much to look at. And I think that's something I need to step away from just a little bit. I do enjoy adding in those details, which I didn't realize I was doing until very recently, because I think it was just me trying to hide the mistakes was by adding all this stuff that really wasn't necessary, but I also still kind of enjoy it. So I don't know. I think I'm still exploring, we're constantly exploring our art styles. And I think by doing these style swaps, it's just a perfect exercise to see how other artists accomplish the same thing you're accomplishing, And Studio Ghibli is far more accomplished than I am, but the way that they draw certain elements that you're also drawing, and just see how they do it. And I think by doing that, it's researching, and you can apply the certain things that you find easier to your style. So yeah, I definitely recommend these things. I think I say that every video, but I just think it's great. Anyway, with this hand, normally, the way I would draw hands is I just do the most wobbly shape possible, and then I ignore it and continue the rest of the drawing. That's just my style. And the fact that these hands have to look like Studio Ghibli hands is I'm spending more time on them, and I'm it has to look it has to look the way they're supposed to look. And so I just spent a lot more time on it, and they're not the way I draw hands, so it was just a bit of a hassle, and you'll notice that I did draw that hand multiple times. And yeah, I think that was probably the thing I struggled with the most, was that hand. That one right there. I kept like holding up my hand and like looking at it and having to twist it around because of the angle that drawing is. I could have just taken a picture of my hand, I suppose, but I didn't. And here I was trying to avoid adding those like wrinkle lines, but I just found some more references, and he does, the Studio Ghibli style in Kiki's Delivery Service does have a few wrinkle lines. So I was like, oh, sweet, I can I can acknowledge my own faults by adding these details and trying to make it look better. So yeah, I'm glad that I was able to do that. And then adding in the cape, I realized that the arm was going to be blocked by the cape by how I drew it this time. And I'm not sure how I drew it the previous time, because I was kind of avoiding looking at the previous drawing of this that I made, because I wanted to recreate it without making it identical. Like I wanted to just, I don't know. Does that make sense? So some things ended up being different. And I did end that barrette, and the cape ended up being a lot longer, and I didn't realize that till I ended up putting them side by side. With the shoes, I couldn't find any reference of shoes in that movie. So, well, of shoes that this character, my Red Riding Hood character, wears. I couldn't find any sneakers. There's like not a single sneaker in the whole movie. Maybe there is, but maybe I didn't look hard enough. But I couldn't find one. Like all the girls wear flats or heels, like little like flats, like basic flats. And then Tombo actually had some different shoes, which I think were supposed to be sort of dressy shoes. I'm not sure what the timeline is for this movie. I'm thinking, just by the look of it, that it's like 1950s, because there's the dirigible and stuff. Maybe 40s? I don't know. I'm not really that educated in time periods and stuff, but that would be my guess. So there weren't really sneakers like this, so I ended up just giving her the Tombo shoes and coloring them like sneakers, which doesn't make any sense, but I don't know. It's fine. Don't think about it too much. And then here I am going in and coloring it using pretty much the same color scheme as my Red Riding Hood picture that I previously made, or drew, however you say that sort of thing. But I did dilute the colors a bit. And by dilute, I mean I desaturated, because I don't know, I should really look into it. I think his style is, I think the style of Studio Ghibli was, well, it would have been cells, yeah, animation cells. So, yeah. So they're using paints, which isn't digital, which means it can't be quite as saturated because they're using RGB instead of cyan and all that printing mumbo jumbo. Yeah. But yeah, I had a lot of fun coloring it. Coloring is one of my favorite parts. I used to not like it so much, but I've learned some tricks along the way to color faster, which makes it more fun for me, at least. I tried to add some bit of shininess to the ribbon, because in the original illustration that I made, the ribbons are all very, very like shiny ribbons. You know, when you look at a ribbon and the light hits it, and there's like parts that are really saturated and other parts that are dark. I wanted that, but I couldn't find anything in the movie that resembled something like that. So I kind of just sort of did it and then like toned down the opacity so that it was a little bit more subtle. And I don't know about that. I don't know. It was just a little crazy. And then lastly, I added a paper texture to the top of the whole illustration to give it that traditional look, like it was an old cel-shaded cartoon anime thing. Yeah. Anyway, this is the finished illustration. I do want to thank you guys for watching. How do you think I did with my style swap? I don't know. Anime is something I find difficult, and I don't know. I think I did an all right job. Anyway, let me know what style you'd like me to try to draw in next, and I'll see you guys all next week. And I hope you have a delicious evening full of waffles. Bye.